Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. We'll kick things off with Moussa Diaby. You weren't expecting that, were you? Diaby looks like he's on his way to Saudi Arabia for over 50 million. The attacker made that move from Bayer Leverkusen to Aston Villa at the start of last season. He featured quite a lot in their run to the Champions League, but it looks like he'll be leaving the Premier League and making the move to Saudi Arabia as well. Welcome in. Gab Marcotti, Frank Leboeuf with us as well. What's interesting, Craig, I suppose, when you compare him to other players who've made the move, Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, you know, they were obviously in the twilight of their career. Diaby's only 25. Do you understand why he would make that move? And do you think you would come to regret it with hindsight? Because you've still got a lot of your career ahead.
Well, I mean, he was a bit in and out last year at Villa, I think, as the season went on.
Yeah, also, Leon Bailey kind of eclipsed him.
He was more regular at the start, obviously came in from Germany. But, yeah, the question is we're maybe going to see this, maybe going to see it more and more, who knows. And it is hard to sit here and take the moral high ground. Right. Because at the end of the day, they're going to go there, some of these players, and they're going to fill the coffers with a boatload of money, right? And who are we to sit here and go, oh, no, they just shouldn't do that? Now, if you're sitting, if the question is it a career move, then the answer is no. I'll tell you one thing, though. Not that it really matters, but some of the guys that were over in Saudi Arabia actually came back, like N'Golo Kante, like Aymeric Laporte, and there were others who performed really well at the Euros. Mm-hmm. And people were saying, well, they can't go over there and then come back with such, weak opposition, if you want to call it that, and play in these big tournaments against elite level. Well, they did. At the end of the day, you're not going over there for the gravitas of playing for Liverpool or Chelsea or United or Madrid or Milan or any of these clubs. You're just not doing it. You're going for the money. And it's, I think, disappointing, would be to see players go out of the mainstream area of where we see them. But at the end of the day, if somebody offers you millions, and I'd imagine it's millions, then it's hard to say, oh, you couldn't sit here and say, well, that's just a disgrace. Because if you were in that position and somebody said, well, here's a chance to go and maybe for a couple of years, make yourself what you would make in 10 years and your family are comfortable, it's hard to turn that down. Yeah, that's a difficult thing, obviously, because everyone has got individual opinions on it and problems. So you take a look, he's on 7 million a year at Villa. Yeah. It'll be 14 million a year when he makes a move to Saudi Arabia. Right. Is there an argument to say you're still making great money and you're still playing in one of the greatest leagues in the world? You'll miss it?
Well, 100%. I think from a career standpoint, then there's no question that, you should stay in the Premier League. But as Craig said, you're doubling your money. Right. Now, I've got to tell you, I was in that position when I was at Liverpool. I could have went to Rangers and I would have doubled my money. And I wasn't interested. Now, we're not talking millions here, but it was still the same position. And how long had you been at Liverpool for that time? I was probably about the same age. I was probably about 25. Right. Graham Souness was at Rangers when he was taking all these players from the English league, the Butchers and Woodsies and everybody else, and wanted me to go there, and I doubled my money. And it took me about 2 seconds to say no thanks. So I certainly wouldn't hold it against Moussa Diaby, to be honest, because the amounts of money we're talking about are completely life-changing for him and his family. So it's straightforward for me. If your career's more important, then you stay and you get the good wage you're getting, which I was getting. Yeah. But if money is important to you and you're willing to sacrifice your career for the money, then nobody should have a problem with that either.
Frank, you obviously went to Qatar, but in slightly different circumstances. It was towards very much the end of your career. If money had been thrown at you like they are now to go earlier, would you have gone?
I would say no. I mean, and with all due respect to Moussa Diaby's decision, because we shouldn't be allowed to judge his decision, because as the guys explained, he's the only one to know what is better for him. And if he wants to secure his future, yes, you have to go there, get double wage, and be relaxed for the rest of your life. I loved football overall. Money wasn't an issue. I left Chelsea to go to Marseille for 4 times less, just to be close to my father, because football was more important than and family was more important than money. But it's hard to make a decision. There is an opportunity for him. It's not sure that within 2-3 years he will get that opportunity, so I can understand. But it's sad, and I feel quite uncomfortable. Uncomfortable also because so many people try to be football players nowadays, and even in our times. And you have one guy who has the chance to play, maybe not for Aston Villa, because maybe he doesn't get what he wants, maybe for a so-called lower team, but still play in the Premier League or in Ligue 1 and enjoy his football career and his football overall and what he likes the most, and gets the money that he shouldn't get in Saudi Arabia, but will make him quite comfortable. But so many players won't get there and will be kicked out of the business at 19, 20, and will never understand what Diaby is doing. So again, it's up to him. Good for him, and his life is happy. I hope he will never have any regrets when he will be 40, 50, 60. Say, well, I should have stayed at Aston Villa, fight for my place, enjoy Premier League, and not go to Saudi Arabia. But I can't judge.
Gab, are these signings making any difference to the league?
I mean, when you look at the average attendance, after all these big signings, it actually went down marginally from one year to the next. They would tell you that they're taking a longer-term view and that they're looking at metrics and whatever else. I mean, I think the league does have a problem, is that all these guys are generally going to the same 4 clubs. Some of those clubs have been well run. Other clubs have made major mistakes, and I think hasn't taken off on a Pan-Asian scale the way they would have hoped. But on Diaby, though, we should just put a little bit of context to it. This is a guy who 18 months ago, he had a legit shot at maybe even starting for France at the Euros. He was at Bayer Leverkusen. He makes the big money move. For whatever reason, I don't think he really saw eye to eye with the powers that be at Aston Villa. Late in the season, you guys mentioned Leon Bailey coming in and whatever else. He finds himself in a situation where the club would love to move him. He's not going to go somewhere else in Europe to take a pay cut. It's a difficult deal. In the end, Villa wanted the money, and to make it worth his while, he got a big pay bump. But I think from his perspective, a couple of years there, he can come back. He'll still be 27, 28 years old, and still have an impact. It's not like he's moving there and his career is over.
I mean, yeah, if you can come back after a couple of years, but if we look at it from a perspective of a player, I would imagine it has to be a little bit. Look, you're taking this money in or whatever, you're getting this, you're swelling your bank account. I don't think the lifestyle in Saudi Arabia, and certainly different parts of it, is quite as easy as some think before they go there. And I think there's been some public comment about that it's been quite a difficult transition for some. The other side of that is, it has to be a little soul-destroying, because you're out there playing, as Gab mentioned, you haven't got the same fervour, the same crowds, the same thing on the line.
Yeah.
You're winning the Saudi Arabian League title. Who gives a stuff? Whereas the allure of being a player is, you want to get paid, and players get paid a lot of money these days. But part of the allure is, playing in cup finals, winning league titles, playing in front of 60, 70,000, baying for blood fans, and it might even be your own blood if you're not playing well. But that's part of the whole process, and the pressure and the enjoyment is that makes it feel better when you get there, because of what you've had to come through. And as a kid growing up, that's what you aspire to. It's like playing at Wembley. It's like playing in Germany at the Euros. It's like playing in a World Cup in Brazil or wherever it is. And, taking the money's fine. But I would imagine after 3 or 4 months, it has to become pretty dull. Walking out there and knowing that all these huge games are going on across the rest of the world, but you're out there, you're picking up your money, I get that. But it's not really why you started the game to go and play.
Frank, you just play golf every day, yeah?
Yes, every day with Batistuta, Guardiola, Hierro. That was very nice. But I was awesome. 35. That was great. But I think I did my time, and I was in a pre-retirement, but it was well thought in a way that I really felt that I couldn't carry on at the top level, that it was my time to maybe retire, that I had that opportunity with Qatar. I went there, I took a lot of cash, that was great, and I enjoyed my golf. I also drove my boat, and we were doing some nice time at the sea, but it was another time. He's in the middle of his career. That's something different. I think I criticize also Ruben Neves because he did the same. They're too young for that. They're too talented to do that. And I'm sorry, and with all due respect for the Saudi Arabian League, it's too early for them. So let's be optimistic like Gabi has just been. And when he said that they can come back in a good league within 2 years with the money in their bank account, I really hope so, because that's just sad. Just sad for not enjoying your time as a football player, because that's the best life ever.
If Moussa Diaby is not particularly strong mentally, then he's going to struggle. You know, you listen to us talking about friendlies with international teams. It's a nightmare. You can't get interested.
Right.
And there's still 40,000 people there. If you don't have the mental strength to go to a place like that and look after yourself properly and have the same mental approach to games in training and everything else, particularly at 25. I mean, when you're 25 and somebody just goes, there's 12 million, I would suggest it would be way too easy just to sit on your laurels, take the money, and then you end up 6 months down the line. You're not even interested.